I'd love to use a 120D or Aputure 300D, Aputure 300X, but I just can't. It literally just wouldn't work. And it's not about money. Well, partly is, but even if I had the money, even if I had them, it just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work in my situation. Wanna know why? Right after this.
Have you ever tried logging in online and the site says wrong username or password, but the thing is, you don't even remember whether it was username or password you got wrong? Well, Dashlane is like the virtual assistant we all need that remembers our passwords and usernames. And not just that, Dashlane can remember all sorts of your personal info that you need to type in online, whether it's credit card info, addresses, usernames, passwords, and so on, making your online checkout faster and easier than ever. I know what you're thinking. Can I trust this assistant? And how secure are my details with Dashlane? Well, Dashlane creates super strong passwords, and all the details you do store with Dashlane are encrypted, so you can have the peace of mind that your details are indeed safe. Dashlane works across platforms and devices, whether it's your PC, smartphone, laptop, or a tablet. Plus, Dashlane includes a VPN service, making sure that all your online browsing can be done in private and you can access content in any country. Now, I have saved the best till last. In the link below, you can enjoy your first device completely free with Dashlane. And if you choose to upgrade to a premium, a 25% discount when using the code TechNotice. So go check out Dashlane at dashlane.com/technotice and a 25% discount if you choose to upgrade to a premium. Thanks Dashlane for sponsoring a portion of this episode, and let's jump back into the video. Now pay close attention because my hair is going to grow back in a moment, so check that out.
So the reason is not as bad as you think, or not as sad as you think. In fact, it's quite simple why I can't use Aputure lights, Aputure Corp LED lights. It's because I don't have any space. There is no way that Aputure 120, 300D, 300X would just fit in this room with the softbox, because I can almost touch the both sides of the ceilings over here. There's no way it could fit in here. When that is the case, how can you still get that soft cinematic look in a situation like this? Well, the answer comes from Falcon Eyes. I'm not sure if you've heard of that company before, but they produce some sick quality video and photography LED lights, and right here is one of them. So this over here is the Falcon Eyes RX-18TD, and the whole set of this light costs around £350 or $370. That includes the softbox, the light, the fixings, the power block, and the power adapter. Also, since I got this light now, they've also added like this China lantern kind of thing, so you can get that fixing for that light as well included in the package. And I think this is probably one of their most popular LED lights. And I'm not making this video because Falcon Eye sent me this light. Believe it or not, I've been trying to get in contact with them. They just ignore my emails just to clear the air. I'm making this video because I absolutely love this light, and this has been my main light now for a few years, and I just want to share this with you because it's just so awesome. So there we go, I spoiled the conclusion of this video, but I've been using this light on so many different situations, different settings for the past 2-3 years, something like that. And I just want to say also, all the B-roll that you're going to see has been shot with this as the key light. Sometimes I've been using the grid with it as well, sometimes without it. Also, most of the YouTube videos that I've produced in the past year and a half, I've been using this as the key light. Sometimes even the B-roll has been shot with this. So let's dive deeper into what this light is, and I promise you there's some very interesting surprises that you're not expecting. So basically it's a flex roll or roll flex LED panel light. Just like a flexible material where there's loads of LEDs kind of put together, making this very large kind of surface area of an LED light. The only difference being it's not as much of coming from like one source, but loads of tiny little sources put together, making the light source very, very big. So basically it's a 100-watt output light, and the color temperature is also changeable. That's TD means tungsten daylight kind of setting. So the color temperature varies from 3000 kelvins to 5600 kelvins. Body of the size over here is 61 centimeters times 46 centimeters, just so you know. And the CRI has been rated as 95. Now, I've seen some other people test this as well, and they've got similar results. Caleb Pike from DSLR Video Shooter tested the bigger brother of this, the RX-18TD panel, and which uses basically exactly the same hardware inside the light, just bigger version, just more, you know. And he got the CRI as 98 and TLCI as 98.7. So just for some comparison. So it's very, very color accurate if you want to know that. Dimming percentage also is from 0 to 100%. Beam angle is 10 to 360 degrees. And you can power this by V-mount or just power plug or AC adapter, which the light comes with. So we're going to talk about the brightness measurements and looks in a moment, but I just want to mention that this is like the kind of middle brother of the family. There is also smaller RX-18TD and bigger brothers as 24TD and 29TD. I'm gonna leave the links in the description if you want to check some of them out. So this is kind of like in the middle of the section over there. There's bigger and smaller versions of this available, even RGBW if you're interested in that. But the whole point of this light is that it's very, very, very small in terms of the depth of the light. So if you want to produce this nice soft light and you don't have any space, you can put this big source of light places like, you know, car scenes, or if you're doing it over here, and it's actually even water resistant or waterproof material in the latest ones, which is very, very interesting. Gives you a few more options how you can use it, or just leaves the creativity to you how you can use it. And in my situation here in this loft, it is absolutely perfect. Just like a side little cool fact is that I've got a skylight window just on the side of this light over here, just behind the light. So this light kind of acts as if there is a window over here, and this light comes from the window to me and just lighting that big soft window light. There is also like a single color temperature versions of this available, like RX-18T and 24T, which is just, you know, tungsten or daylight versions available for this. But the single color temperature light of version of this is only 62 watts. This is 100 watts. It almost feels like they've just taken half of the bulbs out, and that's what it looks like. So I don't see any point in going with that unless you just want that one single color temperature light. It's an interesting fact. And now some of the brightness specs, and this is what should grab your attention. I also want to say big thanks to Gerald Undone for providing the Aputure 120D and 300D brightness measurements with the softboxes applied. So if you don't know who Mr. Undone is, then go to his channel and go get undone. Okay, so on the screen, you're gonna see some actual measurements with the softboxes applied. Now, the reason we're actually doing this with softboxes applied is that in a situation like this and all around the internet, I see a lot of people using the Cob LED lights as the big soft lights, which means they've got the softboxes attached to make it a big, you know, soft cinematic light. So the fair comparison with this light would be to compare these big Cob LED light outputs with the softboxes applied. So you can see here the RX-18TD with the diffuser applied, which is how I'm using this at the moment, because I like extra big diffused light to make it extra soft. Next, you see the RX-18TD without the diffuser applied, and that is because even without this diffuser, the light is still very, very soft and just a big light source. Then you're going to see the Aputure 120D with the Light Dome Mini, and both of these are the Mark II versions of it attached. And then the Aputure 300D Mark II with the big light dome. Gerald also said that he's using the thicker material on the 300D with the Light Dome 2 because it comes with two separate materials, and he's using the thicker one. And the results are very, very interesting. As you can see, the Aputure 120D is 1600 lux, and then comes the Aputure 300D Mark II with 1900 lux. and then the Falcon eyes with the diffuser, 2000 lux, roughly around there, and then without the diffuser, around 2900 lux. As you can see, this light is very, very powerful and can easily compete with the 120 Duo Mark II with the softboxes applied, or the 300 Duo with the light dome applied. So it's very, very much in their league with actually a fraction of the price. The bigger the softbox is, usually the more light you lose. So if you put that big light dome 2 on the Aputure 120D to get like a bigger light, then the Aputure output at 1 meter would be even less, if that makes sense. So that's usually how it works. The bigger the softbox, the less output. So if you put that light dome mini on Aputure 300D, then the output at 1 meter would be bigger, if that makes sense. Now, the very important thing also to mention over here is the size of the light source after the big softbox or the diffuser has been applied. Because if we are after the cinematic soft big light source look, then we need a big light source. So just a quick tutorial here, how the harsh and soft light works is that the bigger the subject is compared to the light source, the harsher the light. And the smaller the subject is compared to the light, then the softer the light looks like. So there's two ways how you can make the light softer, is either going closer to the subject with the light, which means the light looks bigger or the light source looks bigger compared to the subject, or make the light source bigger compared to the subject, or make the subject smaller, but you can't really do that because that's impossible. You can move the light or make the light source bigger. So a few examples of this is if you have like a small light like this, you know, LED light, if I put this one over here as a key light instead, then I would have very harsh shadows on this side of my nose and this side of my face, because the light source is very small. Because it's big, the light kind of wraps around the edges and makes it a soft looking light. It means how far the light is from the subject, because if we look at a person in a sunlight outside, then even though the sun being absolutely huge and thousands if not millions of times bigger than the actual person, because the sun is so far, and from the point of where we are standing, the sun looks very, very small. The sun creates very, very harsh shadows on the subject. So now on the specs of the screen, we measure the size of the light source. So Aputure 300D with the light dome attached is the biggest, and then comes the RX-18TD, and then light dome mini. So it's just important thing to notice is that if you need even bigger light source than the smallest of the light source, obviously you can go with the RX-24TD. So basically the RX-18TD is about 2.5 times smaller in the area of the light source. So just an important thing to notice. I think also sometimes people prefer a circular light source instead of a rectangular one. This is people's opinion now, and it doesn't really matter. You can get a soft light either rectangular or circular. So basically this light is very, very impressive, and also it comes with the grid. I haven't been using the grid on this lately because I want a little bit more kind of light in the background, but with the grid obviously it will be more directional and you can kind of control the light spread a bit more with the grid, which also comes with it, and it works really, really well. It's also very portable because you can roll it up. All the fixings, everything fits into this like a tube bag, and I've seen that in the latest versions of this they've changed the packaging and it's more like a rectangular bag, and I think takes less room. So one of the downside about this light is that it doesn't come with a remote. You can purchase the remote separately, but I find that it's quite expensive remote for what it is. So the remote looks like that, and you know, you can turn it on and change the brightness over here and the color temperature. So brightness, let's put it back to where it was, and you can change the channel. So you can actually control separate lights with this if you wanted to, but the power button is only for this light, so you can't actually turn the light off with the power button, which is a little bit odd. And the remote looks very, very chunky. It looks something from, you know, 2003 7 years ago. So I think it's time to get something a bit smaller, a bit more portable that can control the lights. Another thing about this controller is that it's very hard to know what's on the screen because they've got this like kind of diffused material or that protects the shine. I guess maybe they've done it so that if you're in a dark set and you're controlling the light somewhere in the darkness, it's not the LED screen over here just spreading the light everywhere. You can only kind of look at the screen when you look directly at it. You can't, on an angle, it's very hard to see what you're doing. Another thing is that the control box is quite chunky. It's quite big and takes a lot of space. And the power brick is separately. I mean, the good side is that it comes with like a strap so you can actually mount the power adapter or the AC adapter brick on the V-mount of the controller box, which kind of makes it more compact, but it's still like a big chunk of things. The latest version of this, so if you're gonna buy this, is a little bit smaller, so good news for you, but because I'm running a little bit older version of this, it's a little bit bigger. So if you're interested in this light, I'm gonna leave links of this in the description where you can find them and all the different versions, you know. So if you actually want to go with a smaller one, you can go with a smaller one or bigger one. Just, you know, think whatever situation you need. If you're like a big maybe set of like a studio setting and things like that, and you can't have the light so close, it's worth going with a bigger light source and moving it further away to still get the cinematic look. So I'm going to leave the different options below. There is also an RGB version of this available. So RGB as well as, you know, being white light. So I'll leave these in the description as well if you want to check them out. So I think this is probably one of the best bang for buck kind of in the actual lineup. And if you think this with the kit, you know, with the softbox and grid comes about $370, whereas and the output of the light is as much as 300D with the Light Dome Mark II, then and you look at the price difference, then this light is almost 3-4 times cheaper. Obviously the light, you know, build quality isn't as good as Aputure. Aputure is very big quality light, but I think if you're on a budget, it's definitely worth checking out. And I guess I'm like the proof of the durability of this light here, where I've been using it for like 2 years and so many different places. I've set it up, packed it up so many times, and it's still going good, and not a single LED light is broken. So thumbs up from me. If you have any other questions, I'm gonna meet you in the comment section below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. It actually makes a difference. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Thanks guys for watching. Bye-bye.